Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we are really digging into something that's, well, it's changing the whole game for how stuff gets from a warehouse shelf to your front door. You know, when you think warehouse, you probably picture, I don't know, endless aisles, forklifts buzzing around, lots of people moving things. But that picture, it's getting pretty outdated fast. Yeah, we're taking a deep dive into this, frankly, fascinating world of humans and robots working side by side inside Amazon's giant fulfillment centers. Our goal here is simple. Cut through the headlines, pull out the really important stuff from sources like the Rise of Robotics report and that key piece from the Wall Street Journal. Basically, give you the essential knowledge you need about this huge shift, especially as Amazon gets closer and closer to having almost one robot for every human worker. It's a big deal.
Oh, it's absolutely a massive scale. It's almost hard to wrap your head around it. Globally, Amazon's got over 1 million robots working in these centers now. And just think, more than 750,000 of those have come online just since they bought Kiva Systems back in 2012. So yes, we're really heading towards that one-to-one ratio, a huge milestone, really, with big implications for logistics, for work itself.
Wow, 1 million. Just
Yeah.
let that number sink in. Okay, so with that many robots, the obvious first question is, what are they actually doing for productivity? Are we seeing big efficiency gains?
We really are. The numbers are pretty striking, actually. The sources point to a 25% jump in operational efficiency in these newer centers that are heavily invested in robotics, in real terms. That means everything involved in sorting, storing, and crucially, getting packages out the door happens much, much faster. It's not just tweaking things, it's fundamentally changing the speed of the whole supply chain.
Okay, 25%. That sounds like more than just a minor improvement. It sounds like it's really shaking things up. How exactly are they achieving that? I mean, what are the robots doing day to day?
Well, they're involved in a lot of different ways. You've got these mobile drive units. Hercules and Titan are two examples. Think of them as smart, self-driving platforms. They use sensors, complex algorithms to navigate precisely and bring entire shelving units' inventory pods right to the human workers.
So people aren't walking miles anymore.
Exactly. That alone is a massive efficiency boost. Then you have robots like Vulcan, we'll probably talk more about Vulcan later, that can run for something like 20 hours a day.
20 hours? Seriously?
Yeah, with very minimal downtime needed for charging. That kind of near-continuous operation is, well, it's exactly what you need for the pace of modern e-commerce.
That's incredible uptime.
Yeah.
So massive efficiency gains. But what about the people working alongside these machines? We hear a lot about automation. Is it impacting wages?
This is actually one of the more surprising findings in the reports. Sources show a 40% wage increase for workers who get trained to manage and maintain these robotic systems.
40%. That's
It really is. It suggests Amazon is investing in creating a workforce with higher level technical skills. It's not just about the old manual tasks anymore. These systems are creating new roles, opportunities for people to get trained in things like mechatronics, robot operation, maintenance. It's a different kind of job, often higher paying. That 40% reflects that shift.
That definitely paints a different picture.
Yeah.
Okay, so these robots are changing the work, changing the pay structure.
Yeah.
But who are they? Let's maybe meet the fleet, as it were.
Yeah.
What kinds of robots are we talking about?
Absolutely. It's quite a diverse fleet, each type specialized. So we mentioned Hercules and Titan. They're the workhorses, moving those big inventory pods around with, incredible precision. Then you have Proteus and Cardinal. These are different. They're autonomous mobile robots designed specifically to move packages directly to the loading docks.
So they handle the cross-warehouse transport.
Right. Cuts out a huge amount of human travel time across these enormous buildings. And then, looking ahead, they're experimenting with Digit.
The humanoid one.
That's the one. It's still experimental, being tested for tasks like moving empty bins, repetitive stuff. Amazon seems to see it as maybe the next frontier.
Fascinating, a whole ecosystem of robots. But you mentioned Vulcan earlier, and I've heard that name come up as being particularly interesting. What makes Vulcan stand out?
Vulcan. Yes, it's revolutionary because it tackles arguably the hardest part of warehouse automation, dexterity, picking things up. Vulcan has these AI-powered sensors that give it a sense of touch. It can actually feel the object it's grasping.
A sense of touch.
For a robot.
Exactly. This tactile ability means it can handle something like 75% of all the different items Amazon stocks. And crucially, it can handle delicate items safely without crushing or dropping them. They're already using it in places like Spokane, Washington, and Hamburg in Germany. It solves that problem of needing human-like finesse for a vast range of products. That ability to feel is just mind-blowing, really.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have robots moving giant pods, robots transporting packages, robots with a sense of touch. Clearly, they're transforming the operations. But let's shift back to the humans. How does this directly help the people working there?
The benefits for the workers themselves, especially physically, seem quite significant based on the reports. Firstly, the robots take over a lot of the heavy lifting and the really repetitive motions. Think bending, stretching, lifting heavy boxes over and over. Those are the kinds of movements that historically lead to injuries. So reducing that means less physical strain, less fatigue.
Okay, that makes sense.
And robots like Vulcan, they can reach the really high shells or the very low ones easily. This means the human workers can focus on items in what they call the power zone, basically, between waist and chest height. It's much more ergonomic.
Right, the comfortable working range.
Exactly. So overall, it creates a safer environment. Fewer injuries from awkward movements, heavy lifting, climbing. The robots handle the physically demanding, sometimes hazardous stuff, and that frees up the humans to focus on tasks that require more judgment, problem solving, quality checks, things like that. Less physically taxing work.
So it's improving the job from a safety and physical standpoint.
Yeah.
That's a really positive angle.
Yeah.
But thinking longer term, what about careers, job opportunities? Is Amazon actually helping its workforce adapt? You mentioned the training.
Yes, and the investment there is quite substantial. The sources state $1.2 billion committed since 2019 just for training programs in robotics and mechatronics for their own employees.
$1 billion is serious investment.
It is, and it's creating these new, often higher-paying technical roles we talked about. Maintenance techs for the robots, system operators, people who install the systems, even programming associates. The idea is that workers can go through these programs and move into these more skilled positions. It augurs a pathway for career growth within this new automated environment.
That sounds like a proactive approach to managing the shift. But we also have to address the elephant in the room, don't we? The concern about jobs simply disappearing. What do the sources say about job displacement?
It's definitely a point of tension, and the sources reflect that. Amazon's official line, consistently, is that robots complement humans. They don't replace them entirely. They argue full automation isn't practical or even desirable right now.
Let's go.
But worker advocacy groups and reporting like the Wall Street Journal piece raise very real concerns about long-term job displacement, especially for those traditional roles like picking and stowing. As the robots get better and handle more, the worry is fewer people will be needed for those tasks, particularly in the big, dense fulfillment centers. The WSJ quote was pretty direct. There will be fewer people doing some of the jobs.
So it's complex. Fewer jobs in some areas, potentially new jobs in others.
That seems to be the dynamic. Amazon frames it as a shift, focusing on blending human skills with robot efficiency. But the displacement concern is certainly out there and noted in the materials we looked at. We're just reporting what the sources say on both sides here.
Understood. It's crucial to see both perspectives.
Yeah.
Okay, stepping back again, zooming out. Is this just an Amazon story, or is the whole industry moving this way?
Oh, it's definitely broader than just Amazon. The reports indicate that many major retailers really hit the accelerator on automation adoption in 2023 and 2024. A lot of that was driven by labor shortages coming out of the pandemic, plus the continued explosion of e-commerce demand. They simply needed more capacity and efficiency.
So the pressure was on.
Exactly. And looking forward, some projections suggest AI and robotics could replace millions of the more repetitive jobs across retail and logistics by 2025. That's soon. And you see competitors, like Walmart, for instance, they're also investing heavily in modernizing, maybe using slightly different automation approaches, but aiming for that same kind of frictionless commerce, targeting rollouts around 2026, 2027.
So it's an industry-wide transformation, really.
Absolutely. Human-robot collaboration is becoming the norm, not the exception.
Okay, so bringing all this together, the scale, the technology like Vulcan, the impact on workers, the industry trends, what are the main things you think our listeners should take away from this deep dive?
I think there are a few key things. One, these human-robot partnerships are real and working effectively now. It's not science fiction anymore. Two, innovation is relentless. Vulcan's dexterity, the experiments with Digit, we're going to see even more capable robots emerge. Three, the workforce is changing. New skills are needed. Different types of jobs are being created, even as some traditional roles diminish. That upskilling piece is critical. And finally, there's this ongoing need to balance the push for efficiency with responsible employment practices. It's a tightrope walk. As Amazon nears that 1-to-1 robot-human ratio, they're essentially setting a benchmark, redefining warehouse work for potentially a whole generation. The rest of the industry is definitely watching.
It really has been an incredible look inside this shift. The sheer number of robots, that 25% productivity boost, the 40% wage increase for skilled workers, robots that can feel. It's hard to overstate how significant this all is.
Absolutely. And I think the core message from the sources is that while the nature of work is changing dramatically, the future isn't necessarily robots instead of humans. It's looking more like robots with humans. Humans are moving towards roles that leverage judgment, problem solving, adaptability things robots, even advanced ones, still struggle with.
Which leaves us with a really interesting thought to chew on, doesn't it? As these incredibly capable robots take over more and more of the physical doing, how do we as people start to redefine what work even means? What's the unique value we bring to the table in a world that's becoming increasingly automated? Something to think about. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you found this exploration into technology, work, and the human side of it all as fascinating as we did. Keep exploring.